The theater was quiet long before the lights fully came up. It was the kind of quiet that did not feel empty, but full, as if the room itself was holding its breath. Rows of red seats curved gently toward the stage, and above them, small golden lights glowed like distant stars. Crew members moved carefully, whispering to each other, adjusting cables, checking microphones. The large AGT logo shimmered on the screen at the back of the stage, steady and familiar. Backstage, a young man stood alone near a gray wall. He wore a simple blue delivery jacket with faded seams and a pair of clean but worn sneakers. His hands rested at his sides, fingers opening and closing slowly. His name was Miguel Santos. He was 20 years old, from a small town in the Philippines, and for most of his days in America, he rode a bicycle with a square delivery bag on his back. He carried food, packages, and sometimes groceries to people who rarely noticed his face. Miguel took a deep breath and looked down at his hands. They were strong hands, shaped by long hours of riding and lifting, hands that knew the weight of real work. His heart beat slowly but firmly, like a drum far away. He was not nervous in the way people expected. Instead, he felt something softer and heavier, a quiet pressure behind his chest. It felt like the weight of home. He closed his eyes for a moment, and the noise of backstage faded. In his mind, he saw early mornings in his village. He saw the sun rising over small houses with tin roofs, the sound of roosters, and the smell of rice cooking. He saw his mother standing near the door, tying her hair back, smiling even when life was hard. He heard music too, not from a radio, but from people's voices, from church gatherings, from community events. Music had always lived around him, gentle and strong at the same time. Miguel had not planned to come to America to sing. He came to work. When his father became sick, and medical bills grew larger than hope, Miguel made a decision. He borrowed money, said goodbye to his family, and flew across the ocean with a suitcase that held more dreams than clothes. In America, he worked every day. He delivered food in rain and heat, climbed stairs in tall buildings, and learned how to move quickly without being seen. At night, in the small room he rented, he sang quietly. He sang to remember who he was. Sometimes he sang popular songs he heard on the radio. Other times, he sang the song that lived deepest in his heart. Lupang Hinirang, the national anthem of the Philippines. He sang it slowly, with respect, as if he were speaking directly to the land that raised him. One evening, while waiting outside a restaurant for an order, Miguel heard music coming from a phone nearby. A group of people were watching audition clips from America's Got Talent. He stood a little closer, pretending to check his messages. He watched as ordinary people stepped onto a big stage and were heard. Some cried, some laughed, some changed their lives in a single moment. That night, Miguel did not sleep much. A thought stayed with him, quiet but steady. What if his voice, the one shaped by home and distance, mattered too? Weeks later, after many doubts and many prayers, Miguel found himself standing backstage at AGT, wearing his delivery jacket because it felt honest. It felt like the truth. A staff member smiled gently at him. "You're up next," she said. Miguel nodded. He stepped forward as the curtain slowly opened. The light hit him softly at first, then fully. The stage was larger than he imagined, but it did not feel cold. It felt open, like a wide field waiting for footsteps. He walked to the center, the sound of his shoes echoing lightly. He stopped, stood straight, and looked toward the judge's table. Simon Cowell sat in his usual place, hands folded, eyes calm but sharp. Heidi Klum leaned forward slightly, smiling with curiosity. Howie Mandel watched with a thoughtful expression, hands resting near the buzzer. Sofia Vergara's eyes were warm and open, already kind. Miguel swallowed once. "Hello," Simon said. His voice was even, familiar to millions. "What's your name?" "My name is Miguel Santos," Miguel replied. His accent was gentle, careful. "And where are you from, Miguel?" Simon asked. "I am from the Philippines," Miguel said. The audience responded with soft applause. Miguel felt it move through him like a wave. "And what do you do for a living?" Simon continued. Miguel hesitated, then answered honestly. "I am a delivery boy." There was a pause. Not an uncomfortable one, but a noticing pause. Simon raised his eyebrows slightly. "A delivery boy," Simon repeated. "And why are you here today?" Miguel took a breath. "Because singing helps me remember who I am. And I want to sing for my family, and for my country." Something in the room shifted. It was small, but real. "What are you going to sing?" Simon asked. Miguel lifted his chin just a little. "I will sing Lupang Hinirang. It is the national anthem of the Philippines." The judges exchanged glances. The audience grew very quiet. Simon leaned back slightly. "Okay," he said. "Whenever you're ready." Miguel closed his eyes for 1 second. Just one. In that second, he was not on a stage. He was standing on warm ground. He was home. Then he opened his eyes and began. The first note came out soft, almost like a whisper. It was not loud, but it was clear. The sound traveled slowly, filling the space without rushing. Miguel sang as if he were speaking to something sacred. Each word was placed carefully, with respect. As he continued, his voice grew stronger, not by force, but by feeling. It carried pride, longing, and love. The melody moved like a slow river, steady and deep. Miguel did not perform with big gestures. He stood still, letting the song do the walking. The audience listened without moving. Some people placed hands over their hearts, even if they did not understand the words. They understood the feeling. It was impossible not to. Simon Cowell's face changed almost without notice. His eyes softened. He leaned forward slightly, elbows resting on the table. His usual guarded expression faded, replaced by something more open, more human. Heidi's lips parted as she listened, her eyes shining. Howie blinked several times, clearly affected. Sophia smiled gently, then pressed her lips together as emotion rose. Miguel sang about land and freedom, about love for country and people. His voice carried the weight of distance, the ache of sacrifice, and the strength of identity. It was not perfect in a technical sense, but it was honest. And honesty has its own power. As the song reached its final lines, Miguel's voice trembled just slightly. Not from fear, but from feeling too much at once. He finished the last note and let it fade naturally into the quiet. For a moment, there was no sound at all. Then the audience stood. The applause was not explosive. It was full and deep, like a long-held breath being released. People clapped slowly at first, then stronger. Some wiped their eyes. Miguel stood still, stunned, his hands at his sides, his chest rising and falling. Simon Cowell did not clap right away. He looked down for a second, then back up at Miguel. His eyes were wet. When the applause finally softened, Simon spoke. "Miguel," he said quietly. "That was unexpectedly beautiful." Miguel nodded, unsure what to say. "I've heard many anthems in my life," Simon continued. "And I don't speak your language. But I understood exactly what you were singing about." Miguel's eyes filled with tears, but he did not let them fall. "You're a delivery boy," Simon said, his voice thickening. "And yet you stood on this stage with more dignity than many people who think they're important." The audience murmured in agreement. Howie leaned forward. "I want to say something," he said. "You reminded us that talent doesn't wear a suit. It doesn't come with a title. It comes from life." Sophia nodded. "Your voice feels like home," she said softly. "Even if it is not my home." Heidi smiled warmly. "That was very special," she added. "You made us stop and listen." Miguel finally allowed a tear to fall. He wiped it away gently. Simon took a breath. "Miguel," he said, "why do you sing this song when you're alone?" Miguel answered slowly. "Because when I sing it, I remember why I work so hard. I remember who is waiting for me." Simon nodded. He looked at the golden buzzer for just a moment, then back at Miguel. "I don't know where this competition will take you," Simon said. "But I know this. Today, you reminded us that pride, humility, and love can exist in one voice." Simon paused. The room was silent again. "You have my yes," Simon said. The audience cheered. "You have my yes," Heidi said. "Yes," Howie added. "Yes," Sophia said, smiling through tears. Miguel covered his mouth with his hand, overwhelmed. He bowed slightly, not out of show, but out of gratitude. As he walked off the stage, the lights dimmed gently behind him. Backstage, he leaned against the wall, breathing deeply. The world felt different, not louder, but clearer. Later that night, Miguel rode his bicycle through quiet streets. His delivery bag was empty, but his heart was full. He stopped for a moment, looked up at the sky, and smiled. Far away, in a small town in the Philippines, his mother watched the audition on a borrowed television. When Miguel began to sing, she placed her hand over her heart. She did not understand how big the stage was, or who Simon Cowell was. She only knew her son's voice. And that was enough.